Begin the current Daf, Mesechtas Gitin Daf Lamadal. Begin 6 lines down at the top of the Yomik. The Gemara continues in this discussion of the previous Daf. We're discussing in the halacha of our previous Mishnah, the halacha of bittul. What happens if someone was sending a get, and then he decides he wants him in mavatlet. So he said before it comes to the woman's hand, a person is allowed to be mavatlet. They used to just make a bezdin, but then they would get to as long as you get to the woman or the shlit beforehand, then mavatlet. The Gemara continues with different types of phrases and different types of situations that, even without even explicitly saying, would that be considered as a bittul of the get? Today's daf. Some discussed in today's daf are what's called gilu dait begita, which is that you didn't explicitly say so, but you're revealing your intention that you don't want this get. Will that be considered as a bittul of the get? The related discussion is regarding that of, well, beyond my control, I really didn't want this to happen. Would we say that that would be considered as, okay, a bittul of the get? The next Mishnah continues regarding that you have to repeat and say the person's names in different places that they have different names. You have to mention them all to make sure that people understand that it's that person. And this chazi b'trei shami, that this is specifically if the person is established to be having two different names, but if not, then possibly in other places you wouldn't have to mention both of their names. So begin the current Daf Lamed Dalet, 6 lines down to the top of the Yomik. The Gemara brings a story with Gidol bar Re'iloi. Shadala Gitol lebesu. So he sent a get to his wife. Also shlicha. So the shlich, he went, and Ashkecha, he encountered the wife, Tabe Yosva v'Novach. She was sitting and she was weaving. Okay. Amala, he says to her, He gitach, this is your get. Meaning he showed it to her, but he didn't hand it to her. Amrle, she said to him, Zil hashta meha. Go away right now, v'tolamacher, and come back tomorrow. Okay. Also legabe, he comes back to Gidol bar Re'iloi, who sent him. Amrle, he says to him, what happened? Pasach v'yamai open, he says, Baruch atoi v'hameitiv. Which is a bracha, we say benching. Blessed is the good one and the one who does good, meaning that you didn't give it to her. Baruch Hashem. So there's a machlokes, what's the significance of what happened? Abai Ami says, Baruch HaTov HaMeitiv, like we, in our terminology we say Baruch Hashem, or he said Baruch HaTov HaMeitiv, but it didn't nullify the get. It just says Baruch Hashem that you didn't send it. And therefore if this shlich is going to go and deliver it tomorrow, she can be divorced. Rav Amay says, no, blessed is the good one who does good, and that's a nullification of the get. So like the Gemara, regarding what are they disagreeing about, what's the halachic principle that's underlying their machlekes? V'gilui daita, revealing your intent that you don't want any more of this agency, begita, when it comes to Gitin, that's kamiflagi, that's what they're disagreeing about. Abai holds Gila Daita Begita, revealing your intention by Gitin. Love Milson is not significant in the halacha of bittul of get. As Rabbi Shloimy holds, no, Gila Daita Begita, revealing your intention by get, even though you didn't explicitly say anything. Milsi is substantive, and therefore the fact that you say, oh, Baruch Hashem, so happy you didn't go, means to say, I don't want you to go, and therefore he cannot go the following day and deliver the get. So now each one wants to support their opinions. Amar Rabbi says, from where do I know this idea that Gila Daita Begita is milsi, that it is significant, it will create a bittul? So I'll bring you a story. Because the Rav Sheshes Ashkele Gita, Rav Sheshes took a get, lahu gavra, from a certain person, Bal Karche, against his will, meaning he was forcing a husband to write a get. Now, what happened was like this, the husband, that man, told the witnesses who were present for the writing of the get, this is what Rav Sheshes said to you. In other words, Rav Sheshes is telling you, and I heard that he said, Levat Gita, to nullify this get. And because the husband said this, Rav Sheshes required them to write over a new get. Oh, obviously, because this husband didn't say to him about the get. He said the Rav Sheshes had gesagt, also soll mevatel sein the get. So the husband wasn't mevatel, he was doing a gilo das. Obviously, he's trying to say Rav Sheshes said this. He's intending that he doesn't want it to be written. So therefore, you see, from the fact that Rav Sheshes is required to be written over, says Rabbi, you see, like me, because he held the Gilo Daita, the fact that he's revealing in the tent that he doesn't want it anymore, is a bittul, and therefore he had to write over a new one. Abaya, says the Gemara, he would answer to you, Atu Rav Sheshes mevatla Gita didn't she have it? You think Rav Sheshes were nullifying the get of people? In other words, as Rashi explains, there is no even Gilu Das over here, because he didn't say, I am nullifying it, but Rav Sheshes. So you don't have any of his own Gilu Das. So therefore says Abaya, what are you talking about? That even if you held him Gilu Das, that wouldn't be a reason why I would have to write it over again, because Rav Sheshes is not nullifying people's Gitin. So and that's not what he can't even do that. So rather Iu Batle. No. So Rashi says that it's like there's words missing from the story. Yeah, this was a story that Rav Sheshes required a new get to be written, but the guy explicitly said, I want this to be batel. I have a high come lo hachi. So why was he telling her Rav Sheshes had gesagt that it should be mavat? He wants to be mavat. Mishum dafnoi. What does that mean? So Rashi explains, because there were these people that were hitting him and giving him klep, and by the command of Rav Sheshes, and he was saying, why are you being mavatlet? Was haste? Rav Sheshes had gesagt, Balkocha, you have to give the get to your wife. He says, Nein, Rav Sheshes had gesagt. Rav Sheshes said we have to do this. So it's not that because like Rav is telling a whole diuk in the Maisa that Rav Sheshes had gesagt that you have to write over because he had a Gila Das, that Mistama, that's what he meant because he said that because he didn't want it to be. No, says Rabbi. First of all, it's not Gila Das. Says Rav Sheshes can't be Mavat. Like, what do you mean Rav Sheshes being Mavat? Well, who Sheshes Gila Dub? He's not the husband. So forget. There's something missing from the story that Gila Das wouldn't be enough. He says, I want to be Mavat. So, but they were hitting him, saying, you Russia, you Mushchas. They finally got you to write again. He says, no, stop. Rav Sheshes said we should Mavat again. That's what the story was. And therefore, but that's why it's not a raya, because that was the explicit bittul gift from the husband. Okay, so that was what Rabbi tried to bring a raya. So Vamar Abai says, no, I mean, where do I know that it's not something? Gila Das is not going to be enough to create a bittul. You see, he brings a different story. That Rabbi Yehuda, Ashkele Gita, Rabbi Yehuda took a get, l'chasne de Rabbi Yirmiyah Bira. The Edom, the son-in-law of Rabbi Yirmiyah, that was his name, he wanted to get, he wanted to not be married anymore to the daughter of Rabbi Yirmiyah. Ubatle. So what happened was Rabbi Yehuda wrote the get, and then the husband was Mavatla. So Tona Ashkele. So a second time, he commanded him to write a different one, Ubatle, and again he was Mavatla. Then the third time, he said, that's it. He's going to force him to write the get. How so? Because he told the witnesses, put in to your ears a slice of a thin vegetable of gourd, of like a pumpkin in your ear, that you shouldn't hear his bittul. You can't. I can't hear you because he has that piece of vegetable in his ears. Stumble something soft. That was maybe a soft pumpkin pie. Something like sticking into the ears like earplugs. And write it for him. So that was the story that he said because he was done with this already. Him and mavat. Just put stuff in the ear and you won't be able to hear him saying bottle. Okay, now says the Gemara, says Abaya, I don't understand. These Sokadai we would think to say like Rabbi the Gila Daik to Begita Milsi, that even if he's not, you can't hear him being Mavatal, but the fact that he's revealing his intention, Das Alain would be a bittul. He sees that they're running after him. So I can't hear you, the wife is screaming and I can't hear you, and she's running after you into the other room. But says, you know what she's trying to say. So here you know what he's trying to Mavatal. So what does it have that you have wax in your ears? So therefore must be the Gila Daita Begita Islam Milsi says about. But Rabbi tell you it's not true. That the Koroi Basrayu, you could say that that they're running after him, the Amalo, he's telling them, Ashur, I want strengthen yourself. Havolei give it to her quickly. That the pain that this person should be done with. I don't want to be anymore being forced to write this get and being subdued and being putting in chayrim, whatever. Just quickly write it. So what's interesting is the Rav is saying that it's not a case of Gila Das, because how do you know what he's running after you for? You were naming on the kasha that they say that must be this Gila Das, that because he's running after you and you have wax in the ear and you're saying, oh, I can't hear you, so therefore you say Gila Dai to be Lav Bittelhu. It's not true. You don't know what he's running after you for. He might be running after you to say, Genug Shoin, write it already. So therefore he says, put in wax in your ear, and then you won't even have a Gila Das. So therefore Rabbi says not a raya from that story. Now, Bama Abai tries again. Says, from where do I know this from? That Gila Daita is Lav Milsi. That's nothing. It's not going to be considered as a bit. So again, a story. A lot of stories here. There was someone that said to them, if I'm not back within 30 days, it should be a get. So what happened was, also Paski Mavla. He comes, he's running back, he's trying to make it back in time, made his flight, this and that. Now he's by the boat to get across British Columbia. He's got to go over to get to the island. Also Paski Mavla, he missed the boat. He said to them, Chazuda, look, see I came. Shmo says, no, I'm sorry, it's not considered coming. But was haste, Gila Das. He's revealing his intention. He doesn't want this to be a get. Obviously, see Gila Daita Begita, Milsi, it's a Gres the Bittel. He's trying to say, I came back. Why is it like he didn't come back and we're going to consider it as a get? Rabbi says, no, it's not a riot. Why isn't it a riot? He says, Atu Has, it's like a lumdis. Atu Hasam Levtuli Gita by, you think he was trying to mvatal the get? This that he was revealing his intention that he doesn't want this divorce. Did he try to reveal that he was coming to uproot it through a bittul of a get? No, it's a lumdis. Hasam Likiyumi Tanoi Kabayim. He was trying to fulfill his condition. How is he going to remove it from being a get? By saying, look, I stipulated it should be a get if I don't come back within 30 days. I came back. I fulfilled my condition. My condition said that if I'm back within 30 days, it's not a get. So Rabbi says, no, you don't understand. There's two ways of being mavatal to get over here. One way is saying, I just want mavatal to get by being mafkiya, the potency of the get. That's called bittul. I can nullify it. Then there's something else called a tanai. If I fulfill my tanai, which was that if I'm back within 30 days, it's not going to be a get, then it's not going to be a get. And here he was trying to say, I'm back. What was he trying to do? He didn't want it to be a get, but how? By fulfilling his condition. Of halakam tonight, he didn't fulfill his condition. He didn't make it back. So there's a lumdus here, says Rabbi, he says, of course you can battle it. If you did a gila das, of what? A bittul, it would be a bittul. That's not what you did. You were trying to battle it through a came of the tanai. That you didn't do. So it's not even, this is the lumdus is not even a bittul das. It's not a gila das of a bittul. That's not what you were trying to do. You're trying to say, I did it tonight. I'm sorry, you didn't do it tonight. So therefore Rabbi slugs up the raya and he says, that story is not a raya from Shmuel, because the reason why it's going to be a get is because you didn't do a gila das, and what you did try to do is to show you did it tonight, and you didn't, because you didn't make it across the water to get there on time. Another story brings the Gemara. Someone who said to them, he says, Eloi the sivna atlas.
He would have said to come across the river. That would get me bottled.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Because I'm here.
Right.
And that can
no, well, depends
on.
on.
I'm not here, but I'm
not here, because that here would be the other way that we were saying.
So what would have been the thing?
Which one? He could be mavatal. He could be mavatal. Then there's Gilu Das, which is that he's revealing his intention that this is what he wants to do, that he wants mavatal.
You would have previously said that if there's a plan to get it's a lot stronger than Gitin Daf.
When you say that Snai, yeah, it's saying.
You said fine, but not too long ago.
Yeah, I mean it's not.
Gets stronger. Trying to compare my
Yes, yeah, but here you want to completely mechanical. So that's what I'm saying.
Right, so because it's at night.
So is the Tnai, does the Tnai negate? It doesn't negate his being Mevatel, if he were to be Mevatel.
Yeah, right. He gets to be mevatel because it didn't take effect yet. Chayra. Well, chayra.
It was, he said,
No, he didn't say that. He said it's going to take, if I don't come, meaning
there's
within
no
30
get
days.
yet. And this is day 30, which is the day that it should.
I'm saying, you see, when you think about what's happening,
it's
the
the day that it's supposed
zicha,
to kick in.
and it's going to keep.
It's day 30. It's the day that it's supposed to kick in.
Yeah, if he doesn't make it at a certain time, right? But he was there. He's saying, "Hello, I'm here." So if it would be like he was here, it would be batel. But he didn't
So
make
he's
it.
saying that even if he's not here, if
Right.
he's Mevatel from across the river.
Yeah, that's what seems partial that the Gemara nems on. Question is that considered giladas? The Gemara is saying a lumdus. It's not considered giladas. Says Rava because he wasn't saying that I want him mevatel. He was saying I fulfilled it tonight. No, you didn't.
That has to be quiet.
Maybe if that would be considered gilad. Well, you want to know if a guy's waiting online. If that's
It's quiet.
yeah, but the only thing is the running. That you would say, okay, the running would be considered. But then Rava said before, he said, I didn't know, maybe he's running after to say, get the right. It's like what you have to know what's a giladas. It's very difficult to understand because Rava said before, put the pumpkin in your ear and write it, and I's running after you. He says maybe saying Ashur. Yeah, but give it already. So it's like
who cares? He didn't get back. He didn't get back. Period. End of conversation.
No, the difference would be if he was being megala his das that he wants to be mevatlet. So then you could be mevatlet because the time is not up yet. When it's going to become tzesek achov, it's the next day. Then it's already too late. But now it's about a half hour before shkia, and he says, "I want to be mevatlet," so he would be able to mevatlet. But he didn't do that. He said, "I made it back. I made it back." He didn't make it back. You're not across the water yet. So therefore, you weren't megamd tonight. So therefore, that's why it's going to be a get. Now this case is a similar story about how Damalu, this last, the first of the white lines. Look, if I don't get married within 30 days, I'll have a gitin. In other words, like Rashi explains, he wrote a get, he gave it to his kala, on the condition that, look, if we don't get married within 30, look, you have to have a get from engagement from Erison. So they were engaged, and she's like, I don't want this geschlepped, engagement over here. He says, don't worry, we don't get married within 30 days, you're divorced. Now, Kimatut Los and Yomim, when it came day 30, Amluhi says, I'm sorry, but Hatarachna, I'm busy with getting all the things of the chuppah ready. It's beyond my control. I'm sorry, I can't get married today. It's impossible for me. So the Gemara says, L'may neichashla. So what are we concerned about here? In other words, what would make it invalidate the get? Remember, the get's supposed to take effect. You said you're going to get married within 30 days. It's day 30, you're not getting married. So, okay, it should automatically be a get. But what are you saying that, what should be considered maybe, what are you saying maybe it shouldn't be a get? In other words, Ima Shaman said, because it's oinus. Oinus achman the patre, the Torah exempts the oinus. Maybe that'll be an excuse for him to say it won't be a get, because it's beyond his control. So the Gemara, no, in oinus be Gitin. We don't make a claim of oinus by Gitin, and therefore it's going to be a get, because the fact that you're oinus, okay, doesn't make a difference to us. And if you're going to say, yeah, but he's revealing his intention that he really wants to stay married, that he doesn't want it to be a get. So maybe that Gilo Das should be Mavatal the get, and therefore it won't be a get. Says he went, yeah, but that plugged it by Varabahu, which as Taisa says, meaning that, in other words, the halacha is like a baya, that it's not significant, and therefore, it doesn't make a difference in Megala Das. So we don't go with Oinus, we don't Gila Das, and that's it. It's going to be a get, because he didn't get married by day 30. A similar story, you remember, someone said to them, meaning told the people around, he learned the signal of Yarcha the Adar. If I don't get married by Rosh Chodesh Adar, that's it, Lahava Gita, should be a get. You got to get married Rosh Chodesh Adar, that's it, that's the cutoff. Come to Rosh Chodesh Adar, like Misha Nichnas Adar, Mabim Besimcha. Amalei says to them, Oi, another day Yarcha the Nisan Amli. I thought we made up Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and now here's Rosh Chodesh Adar, but I'm not ready. I thought it was Rosh Chodesh. I thought it was a month from now. So the Gemara says again, L'may nechasha. What are we concerned? He said, if I'm not married by Rosh Chodesh Adar, it's a get. So what are you concerned about? Imashum Einis, if it because like, Einis, beyond the guy mamish made a mistake, he thought it was a month off. It's okay, it doesn't make a difference. Einis begit. We don't go with claims of Einis begit. Imashum Gilu Daita, and if you say because he's involved with us, really doesn't want it to be, he was saying a high thought, and so that's a Gilu does, says he might look that by Rava, it's Machlekes by Rava, and as the Gemara concludes, V'hilchasa Kenachman, so the Gemara concludes from the previous Daf. On Daf Lamed Beizim at Aleph, we had Rav Nachman who said that we had this machlekes, remember, if regarding bittul. When they had the halacha before Takanas Rav Gamliel, how many people could you be mevatel again in front of two or in front of three? I'd be like Eidim or like a Bezdin, but so Rav Nachman passed them in front of two. That's the halacha, and we said Taisa said, "What's the significance?" That was something that was before Takana. No, according to Rebbe, even if in mevatel, it's given a bittul. So the halacha is like Rav Nachman on that the bittul is for the two, that he paskins like that pin. And the Nachman, again the halacha is like Rav Nachman, also regarding Daf Lamed Gimel Lamed Beis, that we had a machlekes Rebbe and Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg regarding two halachas. One was if you violate Rav Gamliel's takana of only doing it b'fnei or isha b'fnei ashlich and not just getting your three guys in shul together or two guys and be mevatla, is that going to be a bittul? Meaning, will it work? Ex post facto, will it work even though you did it against the takana? Rebbe said yes, and Rav Nachman passed like Rebbe. Therefore, it is significant. That to know the halacha about b'fnei kama bitloi, if it's two or three, because it is negay. Because Rebbe paskins, if you after the fact you did it, it will be a bittul. And also regarding when we had this machlekes Rebbe and Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg regarding if you have 10 edim and then you mevatel two of them, if that's going to be a bittul or not, can you mevatel zeh shelo b'fnei zeh? So Rebbe said that you could be, and on that also Rav Nachman paskins like Rebbe that you mevatel zeh shelo b'fnei zeh. So it's regarding those two halachas of the pasuk of Rav Nachman, and as Gitin Daf, the hilchas kenachmeini. Yes, it sounds similar. Hilchas kenachman, hilchas kenachman, hilchas kenachmeini. That refers to someone else. That refers to Abaya. Now, which halacha are we talking about? So as halacha we're discussing today on this Amid, on Amid Aleph, the gilu daita begita. If you're revealing your intention by saying, look, I came, or if you're saying that if we say we're going to get married by 30 days, I thought it was Chedesh Nisan, that's a gilu das. Obviously you're trying to say you don't want to be a get. Abaya said, lav milsi, it's nothing, it's not considered halacha bittul, and therefore it will be a get. And says Rashi, this is one of the famous of what it says in Eilim Mitzvah, every little boy learns. You know, Yal Kagam. We always pass in like Rava and Alik Abai, except for 6 places. And the Gimel of Kagam is the Giloi Daita Begita, that the halacha is like Abaya, that it's not going to be significant. Now Rashi says, parenthetical, which is really, but not, because here we call him Nachmeni, he says, it appears to me, because Rabba Bar Nachmeni brought up Abai in his house, Abayi's Rebbe was Rabba, his colleague was Rabba, and his Rebbe was Rabba. Now, because he brought up in this house and he taught him Torah because Abai was a Yassim, whenever he says, my mother told me was really the nurse. So Rabba called him with the same name of his father, Nachmeni. Of course, it was Rabba Nachmeni, he called him, and Rabba generally is Rabba Bar Nachmeni. That's what Rashi says. Rabbi Kiva Ege brings here on the side, from the Aruch, in the name of the Ge'inim, that no, Pum Fakert. It's hard to understand what Rashi is saying. He called him his father's name, Nachmeni, that was his tata's name. He called. What would we call Abaya, who he brought up a Yosef in his house, he called him his father's name? So he says, no. Abaya's name was Nachmeni, and he was the nephew of Rabbi Bar Nachmeni and his student. Now, since his name was Nachmeni, the same name as his father, Rabbi Bar Nachmeni, so he didn't want to be constantly calling him Nachmeni, as the Ram brings his Mamrim, because it's a problem. You can't call your father's name, especially a unique name like Nachmeni. So he called him Abaya in Aramaic is like the word Avi, my father, which came out to be Abaya, which refers to Mantate. Ich kenne rufen dein Namen. Ruf da Tate. But hast du selber Namen wie Mantate. So that's why his name became Abaya, says the Aruch, because his name was Nachmeni, the same name as his father. Read that as maybe continue the halacha the next Mishnah. Continue on this theme regarding Tekanis Ramlil Hazakan as it applies to the halachas of Gitin. So again, B'rishaina, that was the same wording we said then. Originally, someone would have 2 names. one in Eretz Yisrael, where the Mishnah was taught, one in overseas. Meshana shmoi ushma. So he would divorce her with his well-known name in the place of where the writing of the get was being taken place, but they weren't particular to write both names. And they would write Shem Ira, the name of his city, Shem Ira, and the name of her city, and not both of them. Now, Hishkim Lil Hazakin instituted Shekoisid Ish Plaini, B'chol Shum Sheyesh Loi. This person and every name that he has, and also Isha Plaini is B'chol Shum Sheyesh Loi, and that woman and every name that she has, they Tikkun Ha'olam. Again, Tikkun Ha'olam, that they shouldn't spread rumors on the sons of the second one to say, hey, wait a second, her husband never divorced her, because that's not his name. We know this guy, Max. What does it say over here? Some other name. So we don't know this person. So to avoid that problem, they wrote V'choshum Shieshla. Which Taisa discusses, is that something that we write, like all his nicknames on every get? The guy doesn't have a nickname. Would you write that? Would it make it problematic? Well, obviously it's someone else who does have nicknames. But upon him, the Takanjim Lil Zakum was, you got to write and every name that he has, because if not, you could run into problems of people confusing, thinking that this is not this woman being divorced, because we know him as a different name. Now, the Gemara qualifies this halacha. Amar Yehuda b'Shmuel. Sholchu b'nei Medinas Hayam l'Rabbi Gamliel. The people from overseas sent to Gamliel, b'nei Adam Aboim b'Sham L'kan. People that come from there to here. What happens if Shema Yosef? What happens if his name is Yosef? If a current Yechanan, they call him Yechanan. Well, let's say Yechanan, his name is Yechanan, but currently Yosef, what happens, people have this, that their name that they get called up for the Aliyah is one thing, but for some reason, they have a different name. They call them something else. How do they divorce their wives? So Amr Gamliel, V'hiskin Sheyikosin, so this is the background to the halach of our Mishnah. So Gamliel got up and he instituted they should write, Ish Ploini V'chol Shum Sheyesh, this person and every name that he has, Isha Ploinis V'chol Shum Sheyesh, this woman and every name that she has, and they take an island because what happens is, people go, who's Yosef? What are you talking about, Yosef? Yeah, it's just you get it. There must be someone else. We know him as Yechanan, or the other way around. Now, Amar Vashi says a very important qualification. Who this chasik b'treish me? This is only if he was established with two names, that it was well known that he had two names. But if it was not established over here that he has two names, you don't have to write, as we said in the Mishnah, b'chol shum sheyesh lo, every name that he has. Even if you later find out that he had another name, it's going to be a kosher get, because we only have the name that he calls in front of us, and we know him to go by this name. So even though his birth name, the Aliyah name is one thing, but if we know this is what he calls himself, those shop enough to get, let's see right as his name. Now, this was what Rav Ashi said. So Amali Rabbi Rav Ashi. Rav Abba says to Rav Ashi, Reb Modi, Reb Elazar, Kaimi Kabasah. Okay, they say like you, as that it's Dafka is Chazi B'Tzvei Shmoy. And Tanya Kabasah to Rav Ashi, Rav Bryce says like Rav Ashi. Now, Tracy says Arichas, but he says they asked Rabbeinu Tam on the Mumur Lavitzka Chavim. Someone that Mariftim Amumah, he went away from the Torah path. Get the flow. Someone that was a from couple that was married, and he's like, he went to idolatrous practices and he went off from the Torah path. Okay, he has enough midas that he divorced his wife, but they didn't write in the get only his Jewish name, and that is Goyish Numi. They didn't write because he's already maybe some years already. Goyish Numi, and this is what he's known by. So on that says Rabbeinu Tam, Chalila to mention Goyish Numi Mitoris Moshe Yisrael, and he brings a right from Tesefta. Interesting, also Ger that changed his name to a non-Jewish name, and it's like a get regarding what the halacha is. So he's saying that don't worry, you don't write the non-Jewish name anyway. Goyish Numi if I get. So the fact that he has this name, Charles or whatever he calls himself, is not going to be a problem anyway, and you write that Hebrew name. In other words, so even though we're saying you write both names or whatever, he's known by this name, which made him a shab to Yiddish Numen of the get. But so the Gemara just says that we learned in the Brisa like Rav Ashi, that you write both names, only when he's known to go by both names. The Bride says, someone had two wives. Achas b'Yehuda, v'achas b'Galil. One in Judea, which is the area where Yerushalayim is, and one's in the Galilee. Now, he had two names, but depends where he lived, he had a different name. You know, so people, they go there, they're wearing sandals, and then they're over there, they're wearing the shoes and the suit and the tie. Under the bench, again, under the platz, if people go away, they have different numbers, different attire, whatever. So, Achas b'Yehuda, in Judea he was known by Shimon, and then in the Galil he was known as some other name that he had. Now he divorced. He was moving on from all these relationships that he had, and he divorced the wife in Judea with the name that he had in Yehuda, and the woman in Galil with the name he had over there. Since the Rabbi that they're not divorced, in Yehuda, you have to write the name Yehuda with the name that he has in the Galil. And in the Galilee, he has to write that name and the name that he has in Yehuda. Now, so therefore you see the halacha, you have to write both names, when we know that he has these two different names in two different places. But if he goes out to a different place, that's not Yehuda and not the Galilee, so he's in Hawaii, he's somewhere else, and he divorces with one of these names, Megureshes, then she will be divorced. Says, how can you say that? Didn't you say that we have to take his name in Yehuda, let's say, and the name of the Galilee with that? So why when he goes somewhere else, is it going to work with one of the names? Obviously the answer is like this. When did we say you need both names? Is this chazik? When it's established, when it's known that you have both names, you need both. The second half of the brayso was talking about the loyas chazik, that it's not established, meaning in that place where he went to, this third location, they didn't know he had two names. But in Yehuda, they knew that's where he always lived. They knew that he had a name elsewhere in the Galil, and therefore they required all the names that he was muhsik in front of them, because we go based on the chazaka. But if you we don't know that you have both names, it actually will be valid with one of the names. Shema Minos, obviously you see like Ravash. The Gemara ends off by saying that Miriam, there was a person that they called her Miriam. Upurta, some people, and I know people that have this, like they have this thing, some people, they actually called her a different name, Sarah, for some reason. Her name was Miriam, but some people said Sarah. She got this name, who knows, maybe she looked like Sarah or Imain, who knows, whatever. They called her, Sarah. So Amr Nardoith and Nadirin said, Miriam you have to write in the Gad, which is her primary name. And then you write V'chol Shum Shieshla, which includes her nickname or her other name of Sarah. But V'loi Sarah V'chol Shum Shieshla, you can't write the minority name and every name that she has, which would include her primary name. You have to write the primary name and then include it with the terminology, whatever name, other name that she has.
What do we do with contemporary Gitin? What's a nusach? Does it take into account different names?
Yeah, so it's
what's a nusach actually?
What?
What is the nusach?
It's basically goes to do with some of the schais, whatever, but...
When you're ready for it,
No, I'm saying it probably says this thing about the Chol Shum Shi, I'm trying to remember exactly, but it probably says that, that same nusach of all the names that the person has to include these situations. Now, the Gemara moves on to the next Mishnah, which continues with this theme about these Hakanas Ramlil Hazakan again. So, Ein Almana Nefras Menechsi Yisayim. A widow cannot collect from the estate of the orphans, meaning her ksuba, ela b'shur, only with an oath. What is she swearing? She swears she didn't collect anything yet up until this point of her ksuba. But then what happened was Nimnu Milashbia. They refrained from having her take an oath. The Gemara explains why, but because of that she was losing at her ksuba, because you could only collect with a shvua, and they were not letting her swear. So Ramlil Hazakan instituted not a shvua, take a neder, a vow to the orphans, kol ma sheyirtzu, whatever they want. Meaning, they should choose the hardest thing to make her take a neder for. For example, you have to take a neder, they would tell to the widow, that I forbid all types of mezainis on me if I got any benefit out of this ksuba. So it's like an extreme type of a neder. And then become a ksuba, so then she can collect a ksuba, because if she actually had already collected, she's going to be forbidden all muzzin in the world, all types of sustenance. So therefore, she wouldn't take the neder and then collect it, because she's not suspect to violate a neder.
How is such a native called that?
Oh, and mezainis. Yeah, you say, how can you make a neder on something that is impossible? The shayla is what mezainis is. Mezainis could mean the chamishim and the dog, and that could mean what mezainis is. Versus kol hazan. Yeah. What? Oh, so yes, that's always a conversation regarding the Gemat to the neder. Do we make you take a neder in front of a rabbin, a das rabbin? So the Mishnah continues. So Eidim Chesmin al get, again another tikkun olam. The witnesses sign on a get, and these are all from Takanas from Lul Hazakan. And they tikkun olam because to fix the world. So going on, Rashi says both halachas. We said regarding the widow, that we want that women should get married to husbands. They shouldn't be worried that they're not going to be able to collect the ksuba. So Ramul Hazakan instituted, they weren't letting them swear. So you can't swear they're not going to get ksuba. So no, women are not going to want to get married. So particular olam to get the women incentive to marry. So therefore they made this thing about, okay, you can take a neder. And regarding the signing on the document, on the get, the Gemara is going to explain what type of tikkun olam there is on that. Another tikkun olam, the Hiskin Prusbul, the well-known Prusbul that we do with the Shemitah here, he instituted that when they tikkun olam because tikkun olam. So the Gemara says, "My iri almana." Why are you saying that the widow cannot collect from the nechsisem only with a shvua for the kulam anami? What do you mean? Everyone. The hakay malan. We know the halacha is, as is brought in other places in Shas, if someone's coming to collect from the estate of the orphans, you can only collect with an oath. So everyone can only collect with an oath. What's unique about the almana? So the Gemara, no, almana is to collect. No, we need to tell you that Allah on the widow. So you would have thought to say Gitin Daf, meaning what's china? China is the word chen. That we want to have the grace of men in the eyes of women, that they should want to get married to men. So you would think because of that, the rabbis would lean regarding the widow and would allow her to collect from the orphans even without a shvuah, because we want them to be incentivized to go ahead and get married. That who wants to marry this guy? There's not much going for him. But yeah, okay, I'll be able to collect my ksuba easily because I don't have to swear. That's the chiddush to say that no, even the widow is the same thing as everyone else can only collect from the exercise only with a shvuah. Thank you to any time.